When the sky burned, Jake Morrison was eating his breakfast when the sky turned purple. He lived in a small apartment in Detroit, and he was getting ready for work at the construction site. The coffee was still hot in his cup when the window started shaking. At first, Jake thought it was an earthquake, but earthquakes did not make the sky change colors. He walked to his window and looked up. What he saw made his blood run cold. Huge ships were floating in the air above the city. Each ship was bigger than any building Jake had ever seen. They were dark and smooth like black glass. They made no sound, but the air around them seemed to buzz with energy. "What the hell?" Jake said to himself. He grabbed his phone and tried to call his sister. The phone was dead. He tried the radio. Nothing but static. Lisa Campbell was already at work when the ships appeared. She worked at NASA studying space and stars. Her job was to watch the sky for dangerous things coming toward Earth. But these ships had appeared from nowhere. "This is impossible," Lisa said as she stared at her computer screen. "There was nothing there 5 minutes ago." Her boss, Dr. Peterson, ran into the room. His face was white with fear. "Lisa, we need you to figure out what those things are," he said. "The military is asking questions we cannot answer." Lisa typed fast on her computer. She pointed all the big telescopes at the ships. What she found made her hands shake. The ships were not just big. They were using technology that should not exist. "They are bending space around themselves," she whispered. "That is how they appeared so fast. They can travel faster than light." High above the Earth, Commander Ryan Blake was flying his F-22 fighter jet. He was one of the best pilots in the Air Force. But when he got close to one of the alien ships, his plane stopped working. "Control, this is Blake," he said into his radio. "My engines just died. All my systems are down." The alien ship had created some kind of energy field. It made all human technology stop working. Ryan's plane started falling toward the ground. He had to use his emergency parachute to save his life. On the ground, Ryan watched as more fighter jets fell from the sky like dead birds. The aliens had defeated the entire Air Force without firing a single shot. Dr. Amy Richardson was working at the CDC in Atlanta when the news came in. Her job was to study diseases and keep people safe from sickness. But the reports she was getting were very strange. "Doctor, we are getting calls from hospitals," her assistant said. "People near the alien ships are getting sick. They have headaches and feel weak." Amy looked at the data. It was like nothing she had ever seen before. The alien ships were giving off some kind of radiation. It was not killing people, but it was making them easier to control. "It is like they are drugging the entire population," Amy said. "But why?" The answer came 3 hours later. The alien ships began to land in every major city on Earth. As they landed, creatures came out of them. They looked like tall insects made of blue crystal. They walked on 2 legs like humans, but they had 4 arms and no faces that people could see. These were the Zephyrians. They had traveled across the galaxy to find a new home. Their own planet was dying, and they needed Earth to survive. But the Zephyrians had made a big mistake. They thought humans were weak and stupid. They had watched human TV shows and movies that made it to space. They saw humans fighting each other and thought this meant humans were not dangerous. In Detroit, Jake Morrison watched as the crystal aliens walked through his neighborhood. They were carrying strange weapons that looked like glowing sticks. When they pointed these weapons at people, the people just stopped moving and followed the aliens like sheep. Jake hid in his apartment and watched from his window. The aliens were taking people to large metal boxes they had set up in the streets. These were processing centers where they sorted humans like cattle. Jake saw his neighbor, Mrs. Johnson, walk into one of the boxes. She looked like she was sleepwalking. A few minutes later, she came out with a metal collar around her neck. The collar was making her do whatever the aliens wanted. "I have to get out of here," Jake said to himself. He grabbed a backpack and put food, water, and a knife inside. He also took a baseball bat. It was not much, but it was better than nothing. Lisa Campbell was still at NASA when the aliens came for her building. She had been studying their technology and learning how their ships worked. But now she had to run. "Lisa, we need to evacuate," Dr. Peterson said. "The aliens are taking over all government buildings." Lisa grabbed her laptop and all her research files. She had learned something important about the aliens. Their ships used a kind of energy that humans had never seen before. But every type of energy had a weakness. Lisa was going to find it. She escaped from NASA just as the crystal aliens walked into the building. She could hear Dr. Peterson screaming as they put a collar on him. Commander Ryan Blake landed in a field outside Washington, D.C. His parachute had saved his life, but now he was alone and far from help. He could see the alien ships hovering over the capital city. Ryan started walking toward the city. He still had his sidearm and some survival gear. As a soldier, he knew he had to keep fighting even when things looked hopeless. On the way, he met other soldiers who had survived the first attack. They were all confused and angry. "Sir, what are our orders?" asked Sergeant Collins, a young Marine. "Our orders are to survive and fight back," Ryan said. "The aliens think they have won, but they do not know humans very well." Dr. Amy Richardson escaped from Atlanta in her car. She had taken samples of the alien radiation and all her research with her. She was driving toward the mountains where she hoped to find safety. As she drove, Amy thought about what she had learned. The aliens were using some kind of biological weapon to make humans easier to control. But Amy knew that human bodies were very good at fighting off foreign substances. The aliens might have won the first battle, but the war was just beginning. The first day of the invasion was over. The aliens had taken control of every major city on Earth. Most world governments had surrendered or been destroyed. Millions of humans were already wearing the metal collars that made them into slaves. But in the ruins and hiding places around the world, some humans were still free. People like Jake Morrison, Lisa Campbell, Ryan Blake, and Amy Richardson were angry and scared, but they were not giving up. The Zephyrians thought they had conquered Earth in one day. They thought humans were weak creatures that would submit easily. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The real war was just beginning. What they didn't know about us 3 months had passed since the invasion began. The crystal aliens thought they had won the war. They controlled all the big cities and most of the people. But they were starting to notice that something was wrong. In the ruins of Detroit, Jake Morrison was not the same man he used to be. The construction worker who ate breakfast and went to work every day was gone. In his place was someone harder and more dangerous. Jake had found other survivors hiding in the abandoned buildings. There was Maria Santos, who used to be in a gang in Los Angeles. She had escaped when the aliens took over her city. There was also Tony Mitchell, a 17-year-old kid who was very good with computers. "The aliens made a mistake," Jake told his small group. "They left some of us free, and now we are learning how to fight them." Jake was right. While most humans were wearing the control collars, the free humans were changing. The constant danger and fear were making their bodies and minds work differently. They were becoming more alert, stronger, and smarter. Maria Santos had discovered something interesting. The aliens were very predictable. They did everything the same way at the same time every day. This was because they shared one big mind. All the crystal aliens thought the same thoughts and made the same decisions together. "It is like fighting a computer," Maria explained to Jake. "Computers are powerful, but they cannot be creative. They can only do what they are programmed to do." Tony Mitchell was working on an old laptop he had found. He was trying to understand how the aliens communicated with each other. The kid was very smart and had learned to hack into the alien systems. "I think I figured out how their mind sharing works," Tony said. "They use radio waves to send thoughts to each other. But the waves are different from what we use for our radios." In Boston, Professor Daniel Kim was hiding in the basement of his old university. He was a robotics expert who built machines before the invasion. Now he was taking apart alien technology to understand how it worked. The aliens had made another mistake. They thought human technology was primitive and useless, so they left their broken machines lying around instead of destroying them. Professor Kim was collecting these pieces and studying them. "Their technology is very advanced," he said to himself as he worked. "But it is designed for creatures who all think the same way. They never had to worry about someone trying to trick them or use their machines against them." Daniel was building something new. It was part human technology and part alien technology. The aliens would not expect humans to do this because no other species they had conquered was creative enough to try it. Captain Emma Brooks was a Navy SEAL who had survived the destruction of her base in Virginia. She was now living in the forests with a small group of soldiers. They had been watching the aliens and learning their weaknesses. "They are stronger than us and their weapons are better," Emma told her team. "But they have never fought an enemy like humans before." Emma had noticed that the aliens were confused by human behavior. When they expected humans to run away, some humans attacked instead. When they expected humans to work together, humans did unpredictable things. "Every other species they conquered probably acted the same way," Emma said. But humans are all different. We do not think the same thoughts or make the same choices. This is driving their shared mind crazy. Dr. Amy Richardson was hiding in the mountains of Colorado. She had set up a small laboratory in a cave, where she was studying the alien radiation. What she found was very important. The radiation that came from alien ships was supposed to make humans calm and obedient. It worked on most people. But Amy discovered that some humans were different. About 1 in every 100 people was naturally resistant to the alien mind control. These people have a different brain chemistry, Amy said as she looked at her test results. And there is something else. The longer humans are exposed to stress and danger, the more resistant they become. Amy realized that the aliens had accidentally created their own worst enemy. The free humans who were fighting back were becoming immune to alien control. The stress of survival was changing their brains and making them more dangerous. Lisa Campbell was hiding in a small town in Kansas. She had been working with Tony Mitchell over the radio to understand alien technology. Together they had made an important discovery. Their ships use something called quantum energy, Lisa explained in a radio message to other survivors. It is very powerful, but it has a weakness. If we can disrupt the quantum field, their ships will stop working. Lisa had been a scientist who studied space before the invasion. Now she was learning to be a soldier and an engineer. She was building weapons that could hurt the aliens. The aliens were starting to notice that humans were not behaving like other conquered species. Reports were coming in from all over the world about strange human behavior. In New York, a group of humans had figured out how to remove the control collars. They were freeing other humans and teaching them to fight. In London, humans were using the city's sewer system to move around without being seen. They were attacking alien patrols and stealing their weapons. In Tokyo, humans had learned to make explosives from common chemicals. They were blowing up alien communication towers and supply depots. The Zephyrian commander was confused. In their language, his name meant one who brings order. He had conquered 12 other planets before Earth, and this had never happened before. The humans are not following the predicted patterns, he reported to the Zephyrian homeworld. They continue to resist even after their military forces have been defeated. This is not normal behavior for a conquered species. The response from the homeworld was clear. Increase the mind control radiation. Put more collars on the resistant humans. If necessary, eliminate the ones who cannot be controlled. But Jake Morrison and the other free humans were ready for this. They had been preparing for the aliens to get more aggressive. Let them come, Jake said to his growing group of fighters. Every time they try to hurt us, we get stronger. Every time they kill one of us, 10 more humans decide to fight back. Jake was right. The alien attacks were having the opposite effect of what the Zephyrians wanted. Instead of making humans more afraid, the attacks were making them more angry and determined. Maria Santos had organized resistance cells in every major city. These groups were small and hidden, but they were connected by Tony Mitchell's radio network. For the first time since the invasion, humans were working together against the aliens. Professor Kim had finished building his first hybrid weapon. It looked like a normal human rifle, but it fired alien energy instead of bullets. The weapon could punch through alien shields and armor. The aliens never thought someone would combine their technology with ours, Daniel said proudly. They are about to get a very big surprise. Captain Brooks and her soldiers had learned to fight like guerrillas. They would attack alien patrols quickly and then disappear before reinforcements could arrive. Each attack taught them more about alien tactics and weaknesses. Dr. Richardson had developed a medicine that could help humans resist alien mind control. She was teaching other survivors how to make it from plants and chemicals they could find anywhere. The most important discovery came from Lisa Campbell. She had figured out that alien technology was vulnerable to certain types of electromagnetic pulses. Humans could build EMP weapons that would shut down alien ships and weapons. We can turn their own technology against them, Lisa said in a radio broadcast to all resistance groups. We just need to coordinate our attacks. The aliens were beginning to realize that they had made a terrible mistake. Humans were not like any other species they had encountered. Other species became weaker when they were conquered, but humans became stronger. The Zephyrian commander sent another message to his home world. The human resistance is growing instead of shrinking. Their technology is improving. Their tactics are becoming more sophisticated. We may need to request additional forces. But Jake Morrison and his fellow fighters were hoping the aliens would send more ships. Each new alien ship meant more technology to steal and more enemies to learn from. The 3 months of occupation had changed everything. The aliens thought they were ruling Earth, but they were actually teaching humans how to defeat them. The real war was about to begin, and the Zephyrians had no idea what they were facing. Humans had spent their entire history fighting each other and surviving in a dangerous world. Now all that experience was being turned against an enemy from space. The aliens were about to learn why Earth had produced such a dangerous species. The hunters were about to become the hunted. Adaptation 6 months after the invasion, the Zephyrians were learning that humans were unlike any species they had ever encountered. The crystal aliens had conquered 12 worlds before Earth, but none of those species had behaved like this. Jake Morrison was no longer hiding in the ruins of Detroit. He was leading a group of 200 fighters who moved through the abandoned buildings like ghosts. They had learned to use the city itself as a weapon against the aliens. "Today we take back the water treatment plant," Jake told his team. "Without clean water, the aliens cannot keep their processing centers running." Jake had changed a lot in 6 months. The scared construction worker was gone. In his place was a tactical leader who understood how to fight a war. The constant danger had awakened something in his mind that most humans never used. His fighters were different too. There was Ben Taylor, a former Army engineer who could build explosive devices from trash. There was Grace Miller, a farmer from Iowa who had discovered that common Earth bacteria could kill aliens. And there was Alex Turner, a former business executive who was now planning military operations. "The aliens made a big mistake when they invaded us," Alex said as he studied maps of the city. "They thought we would react like their other victims. But we are not like other species. We adapt." Alex was right. Humans were adapting to the occupation faster than the aliens could respond. Every alien tactic was quickly countered by human creativity. Every alien weapon was studied and copied by human engineers. Maria Santos was running her own operation in Los Angeles. She had organized the resistance into small cells that could work independently, but coordinate when needed. This type of organization was impossible for the alien hive mind to understand. "We fight like a pack of wolves," Maria explained to new recruits. "Each wolf can hunt alone, but when they work together, they can take down prey much bigger than themselves." Maria's fighters had learned to move through the city using tunnels, rooftops, and abandoned subway lines. They would appear suddenly to attack alien patrols, then vanish before reinforcements could arrive. The aliens tried to predict where the attacks would come from, but human behavior was too chaotic for their shared mind to analyze. Humans did not follow patterns the way other species did. Tony Mitchell had become the communication center for the entire resistance. The teenager had figured out how to hack alien communication systems and use them against the Zephyrians. "I can make their own radios broadcast our messages," Tony said proudly. "They cannot stop us from talking to each other because we are using their own equipment." Tony had also discovered something very important. The alien hive mind had a weakness. When too many aliens received conflicting information at the same time, their shared consciousness became confused and slow. "It is like giving a computer virus to their brains," Tony explained. "If we can overload their communication system, we can make them unable to think clearly." Professor Daniel Kim had moved his laboratory to an underground bunker in Chicago. He was no longer just studying alien technology. He was improving it and combining it with human engineering in ways the aliens never expected. "Their technology is very advanced, but it is not creative," Daniel said as he worked on his latest invention. "They build tools for a specific purpose and never think about using them differently." Daniel had created weapons that were part human and part alien. These hybrid devices were more effective than anything either species had built alone. The aliens had no defense against them because they had never imagined such weapons could exist. His latest creation was a device that could disrupt the quantum fields that powered alien ships. When the device was activated, alien technology would simply stop working. "The aliens rely too much on their machines," Daniel said. "When their machines fail, they do not know what to do." Captain Emma Brooks had trained over 1,000 human fighters in guerrilla warfare tactics. Her soldiers were operating in small teams across the country, hitting alien targets and disappearing before they could be caught. "We do not try to win big battles," Emma taught her trainees. "We win the war by making the enemy afraid to leave their bases. We make them use all their energy defending themselves instead of attacking us. Emma's teams had learned to use the environment against the aliens. They would lure alien patrols into forests where the trees blocked their energy weapons. They would attack during storms when alien sensors could not work properly. The aliens were becoming frustrated and afraid. Their reports back to the homeworld were getting more worried every week. Dr. Amy Richardson had made a breakthrough in her mountain laboratory. She had developed a serum that could make humans completely immune to alien mind control. More importantly, she had learned to mass-produce the serum using equipment that could be built anywhere. The alien mind control works by affecting certain chemicals in the human brain, Amy explained in a radio broadcast. But we can block these effects with natural compounds found in common plants. Amy's serum was being distributed to resistance groups around the world. For the first time since the invasion, humans could free other humans from the control collars without having to cut them off. But Amy had discovered something even more important. The stress of fighting the aliens was causing humans to evolve rapidly. Their brains were developing new connections that made them more intelligent and more aggressive. "We are becoming a different species," Amy said. "The invasion is forcing us to unlock genetic potential that has been sleeping in human DNA for thousands of years." Lisa Campbell had established a research center in an abandoned military base in Nevada. She was coordinating with scientists around the world to develop new weapons and tactics against the aliens. "We have learned more about advanced technology in 6 months than we learned in the previous 50 years, Lisa said. "The aliens accidentally gave us a shortcut to becoming a spacefaring civilization." Lisa's team had figured out how alien faster-than-light travel worked. They were building their own version of the technology using materials and techniques the aliens never thought possible. The most shocking discovery came when Lisa's team analyzed alien computers they had captured. The computers contained information about other worlds the Zephyrians had conquered. Every other species they defeated became extinct within a few years, Lisa announced to the Resistance leadership. "The aliens do not just conquer worlds. They completely destroy the native species and replace them with Zephyrian colonies." This news changed everything. The humans were not fighting for freedom. They were fighting for the survival of their entire species. Jake Morrison called for a meeting of all resistance leaders. They met in secret at an abandoned factory outside St. Louis. Over 300 of the most successful human fighters gathered to plan the next phase of the war. "We are not just fighting to get our planet back," Jake told the assembled leaders. "We are fighting to keep humanity from going extinct. The aliens plan to kill every human on Earth." The room was silent as the leaders absorbed this information. Then Maria Santos stood up. "Then we kill them first," she said simply. "All of them." The other leaders nodded in agreement. The time for defensive fighting was over. Humanity was going to take the offensive. Alex Turner had been working on a master plan to coordinate resistance activities worldwide. His plan called for simultaneous attacks on alien infrastructure in every occupied city. "We hit them everywhere at the same time," Alex explained. "Their hive mind cannot process that many threats simultaneously. They will become confused and make mistakes." Ben Taylor had been training teams to build and deploy the electromagnetic pulse weapons that Lisa's team had designed. These weapons could disable alien technology permanently. "We can turn their own cities into death traps," Ben said. "When their machines stop working, they will be helpless." Grace Miller had been developing biological weapons based on Earth bacteria and viruses. These weapons were harmless to humans but deadly to aliens. "Their immune systems have never encountered Earth microbes," Grace explained. "They have no defense against our diseases." The Zephyrian commander was receiving reports that made no sense to him. Human resistance was growing stronger instead of weaker. Human technology was advancing at an impossible rate. And most disturbing of all, humans seemed to be getting smarter and more dangerous every day. "The humans are not behaving according to any known patterns," he reported to the homeworld. "They appear to be evolving in response to our occupation. This has never happened before." The response from the Zephyrian homeworld was immediate. "Accelerate the elimination of resistant humans. If they cannot be controlled, they must be destroyed before they become a larger threat." But it was already too late. The resistant humans were no longer a small minority. Half the human population was now fighting against the occupation in some way. The aliens were facing an entire planet of enemies who were getting stronger and smarter every day. Jake Morrison received the alien message that Tony Mitchell had intercepted. The aliens were planning to kill all humans who would not submit to control. "Good," Jake said. Now we do not have to feel guilty about what we are going to do to them. The adaptation phase was over. Humanity had learned everything it needed to know about fighting aliens. Now the real war could begin. The hunt 1 year after the invasion, everything had changed. The aliens who once hunted humans through the streets now hid in their fortified bases, afraid to come out. The Zephyrians were learning what it meant to be prey. Jake Morrison stood on the roof of a reclaimed skyscraper in downtown Detroit, looking out over his city. The processing centers were gone. The alien patrols no longer walked through the streets. The crystal beings that had once seemed invincible were now running scared. Operation Apex begins in 6 hours. Jake spoke into his radio. Around the world, resistance leaders were preparing for the largest coordinated attack in human history. Jake was no longer just a construction worker turned fighter. He had become the supreme commander of human resistance forces on 3 continents. The man who once ate breakfast in a small apartment now planned military operations that involved millions of people. His transformation was not unusual. All around the world, ordinary humans had become extraordinary warriors, scientists, and leaders. The alien invasion had awakened capabilities that humans never knew they possessed. Maria Santos was leading the assault on Los Angeles. Her gang background had evolved into mastery of urban warfare. She commanded 15,000 fighters who moved through the city like shadows, striking alien targets with surgical precision. The crystal bugs are scared, Maria told her team leaders. They know we are coming, but they do not know where or when. Fear is making their hive mind stupid. Maria had learned to think like a predator. She studied alien behavior patterns and exploited their weaknesses. The beings who had once seemed godlike now looked clumsy and predictable to her experienced eyes. Her fighters had developed new tactics that the aliens could not counter. They used mirrors to reflect alien energy weapons back at their targets. They released Grace Miller's biological weapons into alien air systems. They coordinated attacks with Tony Mitchell's electronic warfare units to maximize confusion in the alien hive mind. Tony Mitchell was no longer a teenager playing with computers. At 18, he had become the master of electronic warfare for the entire resistance. His ability to hack alien systems was so advanced that the Zephyrians had given up trying to encrypt their communications. "I own their entire network now," Tony announced during a strategy meeting. "I can make their own security systems attack them. I can turn their robots against them. I can even make their ships crash into each other." Tony had discovered that the alien hive mind was like a giant computer network. And like any network, it could be hacked, corrupted, and controlled by someone who understood its weaknesses. His latest achievement was creating a virus that infected the alien shared consciousness itself. Zephyrians who were exposed to the virus became confused, paranoid, and unable to coordinate with other aliens. Professor Daniel Kim had moved beyond simply copying alien technology. He was now inventing weapons and tools that were superior to anything the Zephyrians had created. "Their technology is advanced but rigid," Daniel explained to his team of human and captured alien engineers. They never had to compete with other intelligent species, so they never learned to innovate rapidly. Daniel's laboratory had become a factory for hybrid weapons that combined human creativity with alien materials. His greatest creation was a swarm of microscopic robots that could disable alien equipment from the inside. "The aliens build everything to work perfectly in a controlled environment," Daniel said. "But Earth is not a controlled environment. Our weapons are designed to work in chaos." Captain Emma Brooks was leading the assault on Washington, D.C. Her Navy SEAL training had evolved into something that no military academy had ever taught. She was now an expert at hunting aliens in their own territory. "We are not fighting a conventional enemy," Emma briefed her strike teams. "The aliens think as one mind, which makes them predictable. But it also makes them dangerous when cornered. Today we corner them." Emma's forces had learned to use the aliens' hive mind against them. When they captured one alien, they would torture it in ways that sent pain and fear through the entire local alien network. This psychological warfare was devastatingly effective against creatures who shared all sensations. Dr. Amy Richardson had made a discovery that changed the entire war. Her research into human evolution during the invasion had revealed something shocking about human DNA. "We are not the same species we were a year ago," Amy announced in a broadcast to all resistance forces. "The stress of the invasion has activated dormant genetic sequences. We are becoming something new." Amy's research showed that humans were evolving in real time. Their brains were growing new neural pathways that increased intelligence, reflexes, and coordination. Their bodies were producing new hormones that made them stronger and more resilient. Most importantly, Amy had discovered that these evolved humans were toxic to aliens. Close contact with the new human biochemistry caused Zephyrians to become sick and die. "We are becoming a biological weapon against the invaders," Amy said. "Every day we fight them, we become more deadly to them." Lisa Campbell had achieved something that the aliens thought was impossible. Using captured Zephyrian technology and human engineering principles, she had built Earth's first faster-than-light spacecraft. "The aliens made a mistake when they assumed human technology was primitive," Lisa said, as she prepared for the test flight. "They gave us access to advanced materials and energy sources. We used them to build something they never imagined." Lisa's ship was not just a copy of alien technology. It was a hybrid that combined the best of both species' engineering. It was faster and more maneuverable than Zephyrian ships, and it was armed with weapons that could penetrate alien defenses. The test flight was successful. For the first time since the invasion began, humans had a spacecraft that could match alien vessels in space. Combat Alex Turner had become the master strategist for Operation Apex. His business background had prepared him to think about large-scale logistics and coordination. Now he was applying those skills to the largest military operation in human history. "We hit every alien stronghold simultaneously," Alex explained to the assembled commanders. "Their hive mind cannot process that many threats at once. They will panic and make mistakes." Alex had identified the key weakness in the Zephyrian occupation. They had spread their forces too thin trying to control the entire planet. When humans attacked everywhere at once, the aliens would not have enough troops to defend their important positions. Ben Taylor had mass-produced the electromagnetic pulse weapons that could disable alien technology. His teams had positioned these devices near every major alien installation on Earth. "When we activate the EMP network, every alien machine on the planet stops working," Ben said. "Their ships will crash. Their weapons will fail. Their communication systems will go dead." Grace Miller had weaponized every form of Earth life against the invaders. Her biological weapons included modified bacteria, engineered viruses, and even trained animals that could attack aliens while ignoring humans. "Earth itself is fighting back," Grace said. "Every living thing on our planet has become an enemy of the invaders." The Zephyrian commander was receiving reports that terrified him. Human technology was now equal to or better than Zephyrian equipment. Human fighters were more skilled and adaptable than any enemy the crystal beings had ever faced. And most disturbing of all, humans seemed to be evolving into something designed specifically to kill Zephyrians. "The humans are no longer the species we invaded," the commander reported to his home world. "They have become something else, something dangerous." The response from the Zephyrian homeworld was desperate. "Eliminate all humans immediately. Use whatever force is necessary. If Earth cannot be occupied, it must be sterilized." But it was too late for the aliens to change their strategy. Operation Apex was about to begin, and the Zephyrians were about to learn what happens when you try to hunt the apex predator of Earth. Jake Morrison gave the signal at exactly noon, Eastern Standard Time. Around the world, millions of human fighters launched simultaneous attacks on alien positions. The electromagnetic pulse weapons activated first, disabling alien technology across entire continents. Alien ships fell from the sky like rain. Alien weapons became useless chunks of metal. The crystal beings found themselves cut off from their hive mind network. Then came the direct assaults. Human fighters who had spent a year learning alien weaknesses attacked with surgical precision. They used hybrid weapons that could penetrate any alien defense. They released biological weapons that spread through alien ranks like wildfire. The aliens tried to retreat to their most fortified positions, but even there they were not safe. Tony Mitchell's computer viruses had infected their security systems. Grace Miller's biological weapons had contaminated their air supplies. Daniel Kim's microscopic robots were destroying their equipment from the inside. Within 6 hours, the aliens had lost control of every major city on Earth. Within 12 hours, they were trapped in a few isolated strongholds, surrounded by human forces that were growing stronger every moment. The Zephyrian commander sent one final message to his homeworld. "The mission has failed. The humans are not prey, they are predators. Do not send more ships to Earth. Warn other species to avoid this system. The humans are too dangerous. Earth belongs to Earth. 18 months after the invasion began, the last Zephyrian stronghold on Earth was surrounded by 10,000 human fighters. The crystal aliens who had once seemed invincible were now trapped in an underground bunker in Antarctica, begging for mercy they would not receive. Jake Morrison stood outside the bunker entrance, no longer the construction worker who had eaten breakfast on that first morning, when the sky burned. He was now the supreme commander of Earth's military forces, a position that had never existed before but was now necessary for humanity's survival. This is your final chance to surrender. Jake spoke into a translator device that converted his words into the alien language. Come out with your hands visible and we will make your death quick. There was no response from inside the bunker. The remaining 200 Zephyrians knew that surrender meant captivity and experimentation. They had seen what humans did to captured aliens, and they preferred to die fighting. Jake nodded to Maria Santos, who was now his second in command. Maria had evolved from a gang leader into a master of planetary warfare. She commanded respect from fighters around the world because she had never lost a battle against the aliens. Begin the final assault, Jake ordered. The attack on the last alien stronghold was not like the desperate fights of early resistance. This was a precise military operation conducted by humans who had become the deadliest species in the galaxy. Ben. Taylor's demolition teams used shaped charges that were part human explosive and part alien energy technology. The blasts could cut through any material the Zephyrians had developed. Tony Mitchell's electronic warfare units shut down every alien system in the bunker. The crystal beings found themselves in complete darkness, their weapons useless, their communication systems dead. Grace Miller's biological weapons filled the air with microscopic organisms that were harmless to humans but deadly to aliens. The Zephyrians began dying as soon as they breathed the contaminated atmosphere. Professor Daniel Kim's hunter-killer robots swarmed through the bunker corridors, seeking out and destroying any remaining alien resistance. The microscopic machines had been programmed to recognize Zephyrian biology and eliminate it with extreme efficiency. The battle lasted less than an hour. When it was over, every alien on Earth was dead except for the dozen specimens that had been kept alive for research purposes. Jake Morrison walked through the conquered bunker, looking at the bodies of the crystal beings who had tried to steal his world. He felt no satisfaction at the victory. The war had changed him too much for simple emotions like happiness or revenge. Send word to all resistance cells, Jake ordered. Earth is free of alien occupation. Begin Phase 2 of the Liberation Plan. Phase 2 was not about celebrating victory. It was about preparing for the next invasion. Lisa Campbell was already in orbit aboard Earth's first battle cruiser, a hybrid ship that combined human and alien technology in ways neither species had imagined possible. She was monitoring deep space for signs of more alien vessels. Commander Morrison, Lisa's voice came through the radio from space. I am detecting multiple ships approaching Earth. Zephyrian design but much larger than the original invasion fleet. Jake smiled coldly. Tony Mitchell's deception had worked perfectly. The fake message claiming that Earth had been successfully conquered had convinced the Zephyrian homeworld to send their main colonization fleet. How many ships, Lisa? Jake asked. 50 vessels, each one carrying approximately 10,000 colonists, Lisa replied. They will arrive in 6 hours. Jake activated the global communication system that Tony had built using captured alien technology. His voice was broadcast to every human settlement on Earth. People of Earth, Jake announced, our real test is about to begin. The aliens who invaded us 18 months ago were just an advance force. The main enemy fleet is approaching our world. Today we show the galaxy what happens when you attack the home of Earth's children. Around the world, humans prepared for the battle that would determine their species' future. But these were not the same humans who had been surprised by the first invasion. These were evolved predators who had spent 18 months learning to kill aliens. Captain Emma Brooks was now Admiral Brooks, commander of Earth's Space Defense Fleet. She commanded 30 battle cruisers that had been built using alien materials and human engineering. Each ship was crewed by humans whose brains had been enhanced by the evolutionary pressure of constant warfare. All ships report ready for combat, Emma announced over the fleet communication system. Remember, we are not just defending Earth. We are teaching the galaxy that humans are not prey. Dr. Amy Richardson had made her final breakthrough in human evolution research. The stress hormones and genetic changes produced by 18 months of warfare had created humans who were biologically superior to their pre-invasion ancestors. "We are no longer Homo sapiens," Amy reported to the Planetary Command Center. "We are something new, something designed by evolution to hunt and kill alien species." Amy's research had practical applications for the coming battle. Human fighters were now immune to all known alien biological weapons. They were stronger, faster, and smarter than any humans in recorded history. And their very presence was toxic to most alien species. Alex Turner had been planning this battle for months. His strategy was simple: make the aliens think they were attacking a defeated world, then spring a trap that would destroy their entire fleet. "Let them land," Alex advised Jake. "When they think they have won, we show them what Earth has become." The Zephyrian colonization fleet entered Earth's solar system exactly on schedule. The alien commanders saw a planet that showed no signs of organized resistance. Their advanced scouts reported that all human military forces had been destroyed and the surviving population was scattered and primitive. It was exactly what the humans wanted them to believe. The alien fleet began landing operations at the same sites where the first invasion force had established their bases. Thousands of Zephyrian colonists disembarked from their ships, ready to begin building a new civilization on the conquered world. Jake Morrison waited until half the alien fleet had landed before giving the signal to attack. The first strike came from orbit. Lisa Campbell's battlecruiser fleet emerged from hiding behind the moon and opened fire on the alien ships still in space. The hybrid human-alien weapons were devastatingly effective against Zephyrian hulls that had been designed to resist their own technology, but not the improved versions that humans had created. 15. Alien ships were destroyed in the first 30 seconds of combat. The remaining vessels tried to return fire, but their weapons had no effect on the advanced armor that protected the human fleet. On the ground, the alien colonists found themselves under attack from enemies they could not see or understand. Human fighters emerged from underground bunkers that had been hidden for months. They used weapons that the Zephyrians had never encountered before and tactics that their hive mind could not counter. Tony Mitchell's electronic warfare systems took control of the alien communication networks and flooded them with false information and psychological warfare broadcasts. The Zephyrian hive mind became confused and paranoid, unable to coordinate a defense against the human assault. Grace Miller's biological weapons were released into the atmosphere around the alien landing sites. The microscopic organisms spread rapidly through the Zephyrian ranks, causing mass casualties among beings who had no immunity to Earth-based life forms. Professor Daniel Kim's robotic swarms attacked the alien landing craft, disabling their engines and weapon systems. The crystal beings found themselves trapped on a hostile world with no way to escape or call for help. Ben Taylor's demolition teams destroyed the alien ships that had already landed, ensuring that no Zephyrian would ever leave Earth alive. The battle was over in 4 hours. Every alien ship was destroyed or captured. Every Zephyrian colonist was dead or in human custody for research purposes. Jake Morrison stood in the command center that had been built in the ruins of Detroit, looking at tactical displays that showed the complete destruction of the alien fleet. Around him, his senior staff was already planning the next phase of Earth's transformation. "Maria, I want you to organize the occupation of the captured alien vessels," Jake ordered. "We can use their technology to build a proper space fleet." Tony, begin monitoring all alien communication frequencies. "I want to know if any other species receive distress calls from the Zephyrian fleet." Lisa, take a squadron of our best ships and begin reconnaissance of the Zephyrian home system. It is time to pay them a visit. Emma, start training programs for interstellar warfare. We are going to be fighting battles in space from now on. Amy, continue your research into human evolution. I want to know how much further we can develop. Alex, begin planning for the conquest of alien worlds. Earth needs resources and space to grow. Grace, I want biological weapons that can kill any alien species we might encounter. We need to be prepared for anything. Ben, start building planet-killer weapons. If we cannot occupy alien worlds, we will destroy them. Daniel, design ships that can carry human armies across the galaxy. We are going to take this war to every species that threatens Earth. The transformation was complete. Humans were no longer the species.